David,
Yes, John.
remember on the Drowned World Tour when Madonna performed Human Nature and crawled on the stage with that hot guy that had the mohawk?
Yeah, I do.
His name is Joel Weber.
Okay, and?
He wore a cowboy hat.
Okay, where are you going with this?
Well, cowboys wear cowboy hats and come from Texas. And you're listening to Queer Money, episode 397, about the most affordable, most LGBTQ-friendly city to live in Texas.
And we had to get that Madonna reference in, didn't we? Let's get on with the show, folks. The mission of Queer Money is to financially empower the LGBTQ plus community. Join us in thanking Capital One for supporting that mission. So, folks, welcome back to another bonus episode. Texas. Texas is a massive state, and not just size-wise, but population-wise. And so that means that there's a lot of cities. As a matter of fact, one of the ways that we narrowed down how to look at cities was through Zillow's index. And so we are looking at roughly the top 500 cities in the country, and 33 of them come from Texas. So there was a big disparity in the way that we ranked the cities, because we're trying to uniformly use the same ranking system across all states. I don't want to say we're trying, we are going to. And what that means is that there's a lot this is a big disparity in between number 1 and number 33 on this list. And for that reason, we're kind of seeing that the top 2 picks in our rating system, in this case, aren't necessarily the ones that had the highest MEI or HRC's MEI Municipal Equality Index ratings, which means in this particular instance, we're pushing a little bit more towards the affordability side than we are the LGBTQ plus friendly side, which we'll discuss why Austin didn't make the list, but I think all of you probably know.
Anybody needs us to discuss that.
Exactly.
But in this, I'm very excited because I think we found a big gay secret.
Yeah.
After finding out who the winner was based on our metrics, I did some research and might have found a gay little gem in the heart of Texas, actually on the edge of it.
The panhandle. Now you know we're not talking about Dallas or Houston.
So the runner-up is Brownsville, Texas, just off the Gulf of Mexico on the U.S.-Mexico border. It ranks in the middle for HRC's Municipal Equality Index, 46 out of 100. So not great, right? Scores 100. You still have an F.
But I'll say that there weren't very many cities in Texas that get a 100. There was actually only 14 cities out of the 33 that actually were ranked on the Municipal Equality Index by HRC. So it did help narrow it down. So that's why this one that's in the middle of the HRC ranking gets pushed towards the top.
Yeah. Rent is about $1,200 a month, which makes it in the middle for Texas. Housing is on the lower end for Texas, about $160,000. On average. The cost of living is really low compared to the national average, 73%. And it's one of the lowest cost of living in Texas, I believe.
Right.
And FYI, income at the lower end of Texas as well. So there's that to consider.
Yeah, I think that this is the one where when we looked at this, we're like, ooh, this is going to be a hard one to say that we're giving this as the runner up. But I guess this is maybe when Miss America wins the talent contest, and that's what pushes her up to the top.
Right. Yeah.
So they're talented in some other areas than LGBTQ acceptance, and that is just the cost of living there is considerably lower. Again, folks, one of the things I think it's important to keep in mind here is that this list of or these cities that we've chosen in Texas, that the numbers chose, we didn't specifically chose them, but that the numbers chose, these aren't necessarily places where we're telling people who live in San Francisco or New York or LA or Chicago, you should go live in this place because it's super welcoming and accepting. No, more often than not, these are the kind of places where somebody who may live in a small town in Texas or in Arkansas or in Oklahoma, we may be saying to them, if you're looking for a place that is they can't afford to move to somewhere like a Dallas or an Austin or LA or New York, right? They are looking for a place where they can afford to move to that might be a little bit more accepting than the city that they live in. That's what we're finding with this one here.
Well, I think there's a myriad reasons why LGBT people don't move to the big gay cities, right? They might have family obligations. They might have mental health issues that keep them from leaving where they're from, or they might just like to be in the state where they came from, right?
Right.
If you're from Texas, you might not be able to relate to people who live in a big city in LA or San Francisco. So there could be numerous reasons why you are an LGBT person and don't want to move to one of those big gay bastions.
Tired of all the credit card offers you get from your current credit scoring app? Download CreditWise by Capital One today to avoid them.
So that said, we think we found a little gem. David, what is the winner, the biggest, gayest, friendliest, most affordable city in Texas?
Well, Americans would call it Amarillo, and I think most
Spanish people call it
Amarillo. Yeah. So why is this number one for us? Well, it also ranks right in the middle when it comes to the HRC index. It gets a 43 out of 100, which is slightly below Brownsville, which is disappointing, but it's a lot better than a lot of other cities in Texas. Rent here is slightly higher at roughly around $1,300 a month. So that's kind of in the middle for Texas. Housing, the cost to buy a home is below average for Texas at around $193,000. The cost of living is really low as well. It comes in at a 78% of the national average. So this is a place where your dollar is going to go further in general.
And you can earn more dollars.
Yes, exactly. That's the other thing here is that the median and average income were in the top quartile for Texas. So individuals can earn a little bit more money here. Your dollar is going to go even further because you're able to earn a few more.
And this really is what pushed it up on our ranking, right?
Right, exactly. It's the fact that they're overall economically, they're doing okay or doing much better than a lot of other places in Texas. So that's why it pushes this kind of into the really, this is what is the affordable aspect of this particular series that we're doing, is finding these kinds of affordable places. The nice thing is that Amarillo or Amarillo has a lot of other things going for it when it comes to a great place to live.
It does. I was really surprised. So maybe we need to go there and make a vacation out of it sometime. But obviously, it's in Texas. It's in the Texas Panhandle on Route 66. So there's a lot of history and novelty there. It's known for its hospitality, even for LGBTQ plus people. A lot of the resources I read surprisingly said it was very opening and welcoming to LGBTQ people. It's a small but close LGBTQ community. And get this, we didn't discover this. Advocate magazine did, apparently. In 2006, Advocate listed it the most friendly city in Texas. There wasn't a gay or LGBT qualifier in there, but listed as the most friendly city in Texas. But Advocate named it the fourth gayest city in America in 2010. So it has a history of being a location for LGBTQ plus people to either travel to or to live. So as much as I'd like to say we discovered it, we might not have. There's a big club there called the 212 Club. It's very popular and ornate LGBTQ bar that people like to go to with all of its drag shows. And then their Pride, I love this. They call it Panhandle Pride. It's typically the end of June and has about anywhere 3,000 to 4,000 people as of actually pre-pandemic. So I was pretty excited to hear about that.
Yeah.
So we have to check that out. Never would have even occurred to me to go to Amarillo, Texas.
Yeah.
But David,
so why not?
Why not Austin?
Why not Austin? Well, we're going to give you why not Austin, why not Dallas, why not San Antonio? And the reason why we're going with these three is because these are the three cities that did get a 100 on the HRC Municipal Equality Index. It's because they're super fucking expensive when it comes to the rest of the state of Texas. Actually, Austin has now become one of the most expensive cities in the country, not just in Texas. It is the most expensive in Texas when it comes to rent, housing, and cost of living. So all of the aspects of what it costs to live there are really high. And get this, it doesn't even have the highest income, average income. That actually or
No,
I'm
it
sorry,
has the
it
highest
does
average
have the
income.
highest average income, but it doesn't have the highest median income. So that means that there's quite a few individuals who are on the
Struggling.
lower end of the pay scale in this city.
Yeah.
It's not affordable.
They might have had that 100. It might be LGBTQ plus friendly, but your
And we
dollars aren't going
love
to go
it.
very
We've been to
far.
Austin and we really like Austin, but
Great tacos.
it's just, yeah, it's just not an affordable city for most folks.
Dallas also didn't make it on our list as a winner or runner-up, even though it has 100 on the HRC MEI. It is the second most expensive city when it comes to rent, housing, and cost of living in Texas. So again, just unaffordable compared to other options that apparently are out there and a little bit lesser noticed.
Yeah. And then there's San Antonio, which, to be honest, I was rooting for San Antonio to be the runner. Well, I was actually rooting for it to be the winner, but it actually is our second runner up. I get if I was wrong, I was guessing or kind of hoping that this would be, but it's just slightly above average when it comes to everything. When it comes to the cost of rent, when it comes to the cost of living, when it comes to the cost of housing, it's slightly above. So I think San Antonio, maybe you got your work cut out for you, hopefully next year.
But considering the HRC MEI rankings, this may personally be many of our listeners' number 2.
Or number one.
Or number 1.
Right. Because San Antonio is a very welcoming city and it's got some really cool things going for it.
Yeah.
It's a great city. So
that said, congratulations, Amarillo. We're excited you made our list.
And we're going to come visit you.
Start your journey to financial independence with a checking and savings account that doesn't nickel and dime you with fees. Get a Capital One 360 checking or 360 performance savings account at Capital One today.
Thank you for listening to another episode. On next Thursday's bonus episode, we're covering the most affordable and most gay-friendly city in the state of Tennessee.
If you'd like to see the results of all the cities on each list that we're analyzing in each state, go to queermoneypodcast.com/cities or click the link in your podcast player for our growing analysis. Thank you and have a great week.